Last week, in order to close up the bow on Brupeg, you saw us build a template using 25 by 3mm flat bar so that we can create a three-dimensional shape. This allows us to transfer that shape across onto steel, which is essentially a flat plate, a two-dimensional thing, and then get that curve right. It allows us to mark out where our ribs are going to be, and then we can also start cutting out the slots that we're going to be welding through to join this plate onto the hull, with the end of each hole cut out using a drill, and then the internal part of the slot cut out using a 1mm disc on a grinder. We're able to create a really uniform area to weld. We then prep the hull and lift the plate up, and it's now time to start welding this plate to the hull. We've taken a sunken fishing trawler and converted her to a community-funded expedition and research boat crewed by volunteers from around the world.
Because life's too short not to fight for your dream.
Couple of tight bits.
Yeah.
So you push the plate up and you run a 1mm disc up it, and then you know you got 1mm gap.
Yeah.
So, but the bloody yellow thing's right where I need to do it.
Yes.
Actually, that's perfect. Bloody perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. That's better.
I'll just go in a bit more. Yeah, that's good. Hold there. Eyes. Quick check, make sure all of our holes are lining up with stuff.
They look all bloody good, mate.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Looks good. Fucking done a great job.
Yeah. I'll get some
got
dogs
about 15 minutes or so till lunch.
Yeah, sweet.
I'll just wait for the, it's just carrots and broccoli.
Yeah.
As veggies.
Nice.
And warm chicken. So, yeah, let's just wait for the veggies to cook.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah, yeah. I'll weld this on and I'll put a bit of pressure so that it's up a bit tighter.
Yeah. Go for it.
Starting to get there, so working our way around, we've got tack welds basically every, I don't know, 200mm-ish. So from there, it's flush at each of those tack welds. What we've found is up here it's a wee bit tight, so you might be able to see here there's like a nice 1mm gap, but then it gets a bit tight right there and a little bit tight over here. So what we do is dog it in, so we've got the dog and the wedge, and we put the dog in this orientation, put the wedge on this orientation, because then the more you hit it, the more it goes flush basically, and it won't go beyond flush. It'll only ever line up to be the outside surfaces of these plates flush. That's why you do it this way around. But what we're going to do is work our way down. So we're going to get the 1mm disc and just keep cutting down, and then keep bending it in using the dog, and then when it gets flush, tack it up, move down, push the dog in more, get it flush, tack it up, etc. And you do that all the way around. So we're going to start on this top edge here. That's our sort of line of truth, and then everything else can be moved, so we can trim bits off each end in order to get it so that the plate doesn't buckle. Now, when we did this other side here, I ended up with a buckle here, and it's because I welded this corner a bit too premature. So what I'm going to do is sort of try and get this whole top edge in and sort of work my way down. So I'll work along the front a little bit and then keep working sort of down and try and get to this corner last, so that we can push any excess material off the end of the boat. We can just trim it off. And then that'll allow us to hopefully avoid any buckles in the other plate. You can also see the slots that we've cut. They're starting to line up pretty well with the ribs and everything, stringers behind them. So once we've got the plate in tight, theoretically they should be hard up against steel, and then we can just weld to the steel behind it. And then if there's a dimple below, if it's small enough, I'll fill it up with weld. If it's a decent sized dimple, I'll probably end up putting a fairing compound in there so it's a smooth part of the hull. But I think I'll probably go with metal rather than epoxy. So Jace is just cleaning up the last of that tight spot. Once we do that, we can then get that dog whacked in a bit further, and we'll get that plate nice and snug. Welding. Smack it in and I'll work my way along that seam. Welding. We might need more, we might need to move the dog.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah. We may actually need to cut a bit off that dog, because we're operating right up here. We need to operate back here so it's a bit easier.
I'll take it out, eh?
Yeah, so take the wedge out, get that 9-inch plugged in. A trick that's we're gonna use this 100 times today, so a trick to getting dogs off, You only ever weld them on one side. Welds aren't very strong in one direction. There you go.
And then grind that off there?
Yeah, pretty much. It will do that, but I'll fill it up with weld.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, I reckon we cut like half an inch or 10 mil or something, 12 mil.
Just that.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
Do it in the vise.
And then grind it up again so we can weld on it.
Better, right?
Yep. I'll do that, but
Yeah.
I'll just work my way down. Okay, work. Is that tightening up? It sounds like it's tightening.
It is.
Oh, right, we're right there getting tight. Right under the wedge.
Oh.
Fuck it. All right, we'll take it off.
Yeah.
We'll put the wedge under here.
Yeah.
Doink. Smack it on the bottom. Brilliant. It's starting to get awesome. Bobby knocker. So working our way down, you can see we've got flush, 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 and then it starts to move away. We've got a dimple going on here, but you can also see there's a tight spot. So you can see there's a gap in that corner, and there's a 1 mil gap up here, but they're touching over here. So we just need to run the disc down here and clear away that space.
I think it's good.
Hey?
I think it's again right under the wedge. The next.
Oh yeah, the corner. Yeah, the corner's touching.
Oh.
We'll just have to do the same. So, oh no, we're not flush.
Nah, it's not.
Yeah, okay, so we just need to get
Take that out, we'll just have to grind it.
What we need is another dog, really. We put it in here and
to
pull
hold
that
it.
tight. We need another dog.
Alright.
Let's make another one.
Double dog.
Another dog.
Yeah.
Yay! So we need another dog. And we're building, so we've got the dog here, so we'll cut this relief and that allows us to put the wedge in there, weld on either here or here. And then this is the wedge, so this is the back, you've got a little slot there, and that's the face that we're going to work with. I'll show you what that looks like. It looks like that in practice. So you have, this goes against the hull, and when you bash it in, this and this surface become aligned with each other. This is the working surface, so sometimes you put a bit of oil on there if you really need to hoe into it and bash this in. This is your dog that hooks in, and then you always want to put this little blip at the end of it because that allows you to smack it there or there, so you can drive it in or you can drive it out. So steel and rust, people often wonder, how do we protect the rust in that front compartment that we're building now? How do we stop it from rusting? And we don't stop it from rusting. That's the whole point, and that's actually one of the reasons why the system works. People sometimes say, why don't you paint inside the tank so that you can prevent the rust from happening in the first place? But it's a wee bit counterintuitive, but that's not what you want. You want it to rust. And the reason being is rust uses up the oxygen, provided you get no new oxygen in the tank. So these wings are a great example. They're not painted inside, and we can't get paint on the inside of them. Had we painted the one side that we could get to, and then weld the skin on the back would get attacked twice as hard as what it would be as if we didn't paint anything, if that makes sense. You've only got so much oxygen, so rust will happen. If you can have the largest amount of bare steel in there possible, all bare steel will rust a very small amount. Whereas if you paint, say, 90% of the tank, that 10% that's unpainted is going to take the brunt of the rust, and therefore you can actually end up with a problem. So you're better off to not paint anything inside the tank. You're better off to allow that rust to happen, and then as soon as that oxygen's used up, problem's over.
I know that one.
Luckily it wasn't too attached to
Be-irk, be-irk. I need to tip all of these over and miss you all together. Yeah, see how that's bringing it up nice?
Yeah.
Pulling the hull out and pushing the plate in.
Yeah. Still need to do that.
Yeah. So what I'm planning, I'll get this in, tack it, and maybe tack over here, and then I'll take this one out, and we'll put this down here somewhere, and we might be able to get in there with a grinder.
Okay.
That's flush there now, but that one isn't.
Okay, let's work on this one up here first.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that one worked.
Good. Overlap.
Yeah,
We
right.
can run the cutter blade straight up there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we put the grinder onto that surface to get some room in, and then cut up.
Yeah. All talk and no action.
So we've got this one here, it's not quite flush, but you can see we've got a reasonable fit up there, a little bit tight just there, but a reasonable fit up there. But down here, you can see it's hitting, so the plate is hitting the hull. We've got to relief that back with the cut-off disc. When you're welding structural stuff, you can either go down or up. Down's weak, but looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Up's strong, but looks ugly.
Do they call it a double up, or what do they call it?
Vertical up,
Vertical up.
yeah, or vertical down.
Because it's vertical.
So vertical down, you literally just go like this all the way down. You get this beautiful looking, amazing weld that you can pretty much snap off with your teeth.
Yeah.
Or vertical up, you end up doing like a triangle pattern like this, all the way up, and you tie in the two pieces really well. But you got to move quite fast because it keeps trying to droop down with the molten metal.
Yeah.
And that's why you do the pattern. Knock it in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a hard to
I
hold.
know. What if we do this? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, let's tick.
Whoop. Oh, come out a bit. Actually, knock that one in. Knock this one in.
It's not going in.
We're going to have to give it the herbs.
It's not even moving down.
Okay, we might have to use this because it's less aggressive. So let's swap them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking we need to take more out of it.
Out of that?
Yeah, just back this one off, see if it comes
Slide.
out better. I want to know if it pops. I want to know if it pops or if it's jam. Yeah. We've got to get that down before we weld that, or else we'll have a bulge.
Yeah.
That one wasn't going to give us enough depth though, was it?
I don't know, just have a go, see what we can do. Keep going, you're right. No, we're miles out. Why are we so far out?
It's just got to come in. I think we get the last bit of this, it should be alright.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm wondering if the hull plate actually has a bend in it, like it curves in like that.
Yeah.
We're not just not pulling it up so
That's
much.
not hard against it yet though, is it?
Won't be far. Yeah, it's not, but it won't be far off.
We'll try and take up a little bit of this.
Yep, yep. Okay, it's all you're going to get, eh? Bloody hell, it's still miles away. All right, let's get the other one, put it in here, and see if we can bend it in more.
Okay.
See if it does it, I don't know.
That's going to go in beyond that, eh?
That's okay, so long as we can get that flush. And then we weld it, and then we back it all out, and we do that. Okay, where's that sitting at though?
You want to just give that a nudge to see if that'll pull that back?
Yep, just see if it'll work. All we've got to do is get that bit up at the top flush.
Alright,
How's it going? It's close. Give me your hammer. I might pop a weld right in that corner. Warm. Let's get all the wedges off and see if it's going to hold. Oh. Lovely. It's flush, but it's the wrong angle. Actually, you know what we can do is dog it the other way. Okay, so if I can pull that in, I can weld a dog on this side and pull the plate out. So,
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Low side gets the dog and you end up getting it flush.
Yeah.
So we'll just get this one in. You can see it's starting to come into shape. Got a little bit more to go on that bottom there obviously, but we're getting there, up around the top, sort of meeting the hull quite nicely around that curve there. We've probably got maybe, I don't know, maybe an inch, maybe a bit more, so what's that say, 25 mil, 30 mil at least I'd say of curve happening that way. And then we get about 150 mil of curve that way, or 6 inches roughly.
Much better.
It's almost like you planned for it to do that.
Perfect, bro. Getting close. Touch more. I'll do it down here. Touch more. That's good there. Guys have set up scaffold. What we need to do now is trim about 10 mil. You can sort of see that line, roughly 10 mil off that front plate, all the way down, right down to that bottom corner down there. It's just a bit too big, it's hanging down too far, so we need to trim that back. I think that's getting better and better.
mate.
Yeah. The hull's got a buckle because there's a weld somewhere there and it's kicked the hull in. I'm just overcoming the buckle in the hull basically. Probably as close as we'll get it. Cut that, pop it open, and just fair that bit up a little bit. So if we just nick that, this will pop out, and then we'll be able to just dog it and flush it up again properly. Because remember, this is one we did freehand.
Yeah.
So it's not really that lined up.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of changing discs. This is a disc for life.
You can cut from way over there. Yeah. Oh, you can do it in the shade.
We'll bash that out. So we've got to prep the joint next. So once we've got it tacked up all the way around, including this side, we've got to go through and prep the joint. So we go through and V it out basically with the wheels and with the grinding discs and stuff. Yep. We get quite a deep V going on, almost all the way through. The error I made last time was I welded around the sort of perimeter and then I started welding down this front and I ended up with a buckle down here and I had to undo these welds and relieve this quarter and so on, let it sort of relax out the bottom of the panel. What I thought this time is start in the middle and work my way down and back so until we've got everything tacked in, etc. But what I'm noticing, let me see if I can show you. If you look down here, you've got a bulge here and then where the dog is, it's obviously getting tighter. And then back here it's starting to bulge out again as well. So I'm wondering if I need to do multiple dogs along this very front. Finishing up for the night, this is where we got to. So the guys are going through cleaning up the dogs. They're also cleaning up the keel. So Jason's just basically grinding from the top to bottom on that keel there. So we've got nice clean metal to weld to. We're going to have another go at dogging all the way along the bottom edge here so that we can try and get rid of the bulge. We're never going to get rid of it fully, but we think we can probably work it out a wee bit easier by undoing the top, the bottom, and kind of working from the middle out towards the end. Don't know if it's going to work, see how we go. Because this is touching, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The height is right, like compared to here. Yeah.
Happy with that?
Could even trim a bit more. If we cut more here, you'd be getting here closer.
Oh, I see what you mean. So we need to feather it though, don't we? Like, start from here sort of thing and work our way down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, where's it accurate? Where's it right?
Yeah, probably about here.
Grab my hand, will we land? I got the champagne. We can knock it back, get on track, jump on and ride this thing. Double down, roll the dice.
Right, so we're going to trim a bit more off. We've got a line going up and we're going to stop about here. And then we've also got a little bit here to take off as well. So when we cut it, we've done a bit of a blip sort of down like that, exaggerating it, but there's a wee bit of a dip downwards here. And then we'll chamfer it off over there. So that when you look at it sort of straight down the middle, we want the bottom to be as even as we can all the way down. We think that this is hanging down a bit too far. It will pull up a little bit when we bring it in, but we still think we've got a bit too much plate on there. So the plan, we're getting it from the middle. And look at that, it's already starting to grow. I'll pop this off because that's going to be holding it. We're slowly getting there. We have this side here done. We've got it tacked, basically this bottom corner right the way to this area here. We've just got to get this top corner in, so if we keep pushing it that way, it's going to grow in that direction. We will have to trim some of that top off, but that's okay. That's why we've done it the way we've done it, because it's easy to trim that bit off. These here, these are coming up nice and tight, so we can get in there and weld those as well. We've done some with some bird shit. I'm going to grind that out and start again. But a couple here, that one there, and that one there, oh, and also that one there, we fell off the bottom of the rib, but that's okay. We'll weld a wee bit of stuff in here. But yeah, so just need to factor that in. And then these ones up here are a wee bit away from the rib, so we're going to try and pull those in. Ow!
Warm?
Yeah! Pull my finger.
Pull my finger.
Pull several of them.
Right. Okay.
Wow! Yeah, let's leave the camera at a distance. Get in there, eh? So the plan is to weld this dog on. We've run out of gas, so we're swapping the bottles over. We're going to put a wedge going down on an angle like that, and that should bring this end of the plate here in tight against the keel, and we can tack as we go. It's a bit hard to get a dog on here, there's not much room anymore. We tried clamping it, but it's funny angles because you got the V of the hull, so you can't really clamp onto it easy. So we're hoping we can just do one dog and literally bring it up, maybe put a dog over here in case there's a bulge here. But it's fairly flexible at this point because we don't have much curve in the plate, so hopefully that's enough to get it in. So there's a bit going on here. So we've got this dog sort of pulling the very front in, and this one here is sort of straightening this plate out. We're sort of smooth over here, like the hull's quite fair just there, and over to about there maybe, but over here the hull, this plate is a little bit low, so I need to put a dog on the plate side and then punch up and it'll pull the plate out. So you always want to put the dog, so this part here, you want to put that on the low side, so whether it's hull or plate, doesn't matter, you put it on the low side and then you can pull it out basically by putting the dog in. When you put the plate sort of parallel with the join and the dog 90 degrees to the join, when that dog gets whacked in hard, it basically brings those two surfaces perfectly level because it's driving a flat surface across both of them, and it sort of evens them up. That's the theory anyway. It doesn't always work, but most of the time it does work out that way. So what I do need to do is go around and V this out now with the, so we'll get a worn disc like that, and we just go round all the way down like that, physically down through it, so that we get that kind of chunky curve out of it. I'll go through and weld these guys up, because that way that'll hold that plate in there. And then this will V out.
So you want to weld those centre ones first, then we'll do the Ving?
Do the Ving except for where I've got tacks holding everything.
Yeah, totally.
And then I'll put some nice root run in those V's, and then we'll get rid of these guys as well, V them out as well. So it might be a wee bit hard to hear, but what we've got going on up the top here, Jace is cutting out a slot in the hull that needs to be welded up. Be-irk's going through and grinding all of the tack welds that we held in. Dinghy ready to work on soon. Okay, at the front of the boat we've got this hole that is marked out that needs to be chopped out. There's basically rust there. It's a bad design the way that it was originally designed, and we didn't get a chance to fix it before, but we're going to be fixing it now. So Jason's cutting it out, we'll cut a piece of steel out, we'll weld a new piece in. How are you feeling seeing the front go on?
It's pretty amazing. It's a sizable job, isn't it? It feels really good getting to this point after the last year of so many difficulties. This is one of 4 welding jobs that we've got to do. The side up here, and then there's the hatches to go on up on the deck, up the top at the bow. And there's a couple of old welds that we did when we were first learning on the roof at the back deck that we need to just sort of cut through and redo. And that's all the welding really before we launch. So it's pretty exciting. It's the big one first, get that out the way. You'll be welding all day tomorrow. Great.
So the boys are inside. They've done about as much grinding as they can do before I need to do a lot more welding for them to be able to grind that welding out. So what they've done is gone through and V'd out, where I've asked them to V out. I'm going to go over and do a root run around as much as I possibly can, and then in the morning they're going to grind that out. At the moment the 2 of them are in the engine room making the MDF templates for our holding tanks. Holding tanks have to be built and installed before the main engine goes in, because we can't get them in and out once the engine's fitted. So that has to happen in the next few weeks. Beck's going to take over that and get that built. It's going to be cool. It's basically plywood and fiberglass tanks, so fiberglass on the inside, plywood sort of core, I suppose you could say. 15mm ply, so that's fairly heavy ply. But they'll have, I believe the capacity is somewhere between 850 and 1,000 litres. We're not entirely sure on that number, but it's somewhere around that. It's not as big as we would have liked, but we're pretty limited with space in that engine room, so it's as big as we can. It's as physically big as what we can get. We can possibly add smaller extra tanks later on, but we'll just see how much gear we've got in the engine room. Anyway, got to get on with this welding. All right, this is where I got to. So it's basically welded from the bottom corner up, around and across the top, and then all the way down the front to about there, roughly. So there's about maybe 40 centimeters or so to go, 400mm. And I've started welding some of these slots up, so I'll do, it's getting late, got to take the dog for a run, so I'll get these slots welded tomorrow morning. The guys will then go through and grind out all of those small root runs, and then we'll go through, turn the machine right up to honky-dory setting, and we'll start smashing in some steel.
like to introduce you to a game that we invented on Brupeg. It's not quite Pictionary, it's not quite Scrabble, but each day Birk comes up with a German word for Jason and I to guess the meaning of.
Gavin, he's nervous. They get used to him.
Pretty good, yeah.
Nervy.
You're not supposed to fucking Google Translate it. That's not one of the rules. Off the
The rules are simple. Jess writes a word down, hands it across to Birk. He then translates it across into German, and then me and Jason spend the rest of the day guessing.
It's actually quite helpful. I never would have known that about the V.
Until it's followed by an E or something.
Can you read that one?
S-C-H-N-E-L-L-E-R. Schneller.
Yep, pretty much.
Nailed it.
Naila?
Oh no, you nailed it.
Naila.
Oh, careful there, you smell it hanging out. Yeah.
Sounds the opposite.
Hey, don't.
Naila.
Close to Schneller.
Naila, Naila.
Love it.
He doesn't want to get it because it's get out of bed, right?
This is a good thing, I like it.
Yeah.
Hey. If I go to the toilet and Schneller comes out, what does that mean?
Oh Jesus, I'll give that a minute. Jason's like a real schneller in there.
Joke really on us because they both know what it is. I think it's great that we're able to provide them with this level of detail. Apparently.
Oh, she was laughing and then a little bit of schneller came out.
Yeah.
Good game, good game. Oh, that's pretty
Fun
good.
with German and English with Dame and Jess.
Are you coping?
Yeah, it's still okay.
Welcome back to Australia's Next Top Welder. Here we have Damien sporting the latest in Australian summer fashion for welders. If you find that you're on the worksite and things are getting a little bit hot and heavy, then what better way to show your workmates that you have the style needed with a welding blanket?
So it looks like
So you've got all that gear there.
oh
So you've got to, they're assuming you put it into a cup.
yeah.
Hot rod stuff.
When you hear Integra, I think Honda Integra, but it's
Oh, yeah, no, it's different, yeah.
oh that's right. You don't have any.
So I'm completely open to working on the boat. Let's get bluntly.
It's a really thin real one.
You just started to read it and we got stock. But it's not these food
Yeah, there probably is something.
What do you think? Don't need to go bring one email.
Watching last night's video and Snoop Dogg and Be-irk.
Yeah, I know.
Dog was all over the place.
Damien's not allowed to pay. Yes.
Well, here's the thing, I don't know why, since I've been next to Brupeg.
Starting the death ray!
yeah. He made all the grass. Nothing like doing the.
You found it?
Remember when you failed last time?
Yes.
And I said, well, get the big knife switch into the hallway where you
Yes.
need the brocky.
That's not
Their side.
I looked, I couldn't find it.
They're only going to bring in historical slates.
Taken over. I've got the kayak on top. Why don't you just drive it in underneath that bloody boat over there? Yeah, well, wouldn't it be perfect?
After a bit of food, Dame did some grinding, and a bit more grinding, and a bit more.
So any areas that I'm not happy with, I've basically ground up. You can see we've got a couple more of these slots to fill, and then pretty much most of the way along that top, I wasn't real happy with that. Machine was running like a bit of a monkey, so ground it all out. Anything that I'm not absolutely stoked with just gets ground out. And you can see there's a little bit of rust sort of coming down various parts. There was a bit dribbling out of this hole here. You can sort of see it working its way down, and that's because on this side, around here, there's a hole we haven't fixed yet. Just up in there, can't quite see it. You'll see it soon. We're waiting on a plasma cutter to arrive, but once that gets here we can fix that, and that stops the water from going in this tank. In the meantime, we're going to basically protect the water from going in. So this will get welded up last, just in case. It allows us to get in there with this thing here, our oil vacuum pump thing, and pull out any water just in case it does get there. But it's holding water, so it's a good sign that there's no leak so far down the very bottom. Yeah, next step is get in there and start welding. Having a bunch of welding issues this morning, trying to get the machine to work. The gun isn't doing anything. You pull the trigger, nothing happens. The situation, turn the machine on. You got these two buttons down here, so you got spool gun or standard. It's on standard. You've got wire feed or gas. Nothing happening when you press gas. Wire feed is feeding, but 0 on gas. Nope. And then likewise when you press the gun, Newt. So welding's off until I can figure out what's going on with the welder. Solved. It was so simple. All I had to do was stare at it firmly, press a few random buttons in no particular order, whack it once on the side, and then go, what the fuck? And then press the button again, and it seemed to work. I swapped over to flux core, so you can sort of see there's some white marks around some of the welds. That's what the flux core looks like when it's welded. It's welding absolutely beautiful with flux core. It was being a right pig with solid wire, so don't know what's going on there. Doesn't matter. Changed it out. Welder's going great. So plate is fully welded. Now I need to go around and start grinding the whole thing up. There we go, ground up. So it looks like I was taking lots off. I really wasn't. You can sort of see here that 90% of the weld's still there. I'm basically just cleaning off any lumps and dags and bumps and so on. Some of these verticals, etc., that we've put into the rib, the welder wasn't running crash hot when I did a lot of those, so they're good welds, but they're incredibly bulbous, some of them, so that's why I just lopped the top off half of them just to get rid of that nonsense. And then you can see that top one, I didn't even have to take anything off it. It's basically fine as is. So I've cleaned up pretty much every weld that I want to do something with. The only thing that's left on this side now, before we can pressure test it, is this little bit here. So this is what Jason was working on the other day. You can see we've got a bit of rust basically coming through, and we've just started hacking it out with a grinder. It's pretty difficult to get this with a grinder. The top half of this is in the anchor room, the bottom half is in this compartment. We're waiting until we get a new plasma cutter. We're going to cut that out properly and just put a new plate in there, but I can't pressure test this part of the hull until that hole is sealed up. Once that's done, we can pressure test this, and then we can start sandblasting and painting. Up the front, the guys, these two are working on the radar quite a lot. Jess is cooking up a storm. Dog is waiting in anticipation. That's going out. Yum, that bit's getting eaten. The guys are out here figuring out the important things. Yeah. So they reckon that they've solved the Nook North Star thing, turning off the radar when the North Star gear's off.
Yes, important thing to be able to turn off the radar, but we think we found the control for that.
Yep.
Fortunately, I rocked up when they were right in the middle of being super stumped, and my technical knowledge of all things radar really saved the day. Didn't it?
Very much.
Put out the fire, so to speak.
That's right.